Hi, it's Therese from Lostinpaper, and today I'm back for Purple Onion Designs, and I'm going to make a card using some distressings and do some embossing and colouring. So starting off with using a powder tool on this is watercolour cardstock, and just don't want this embossing powder to stick where I don't want it to. I've got the toadstool image here, and I'll use my Stamp-A-Majig to get that where I want it. And I've got some Versamark ink. And this is some American Crafts Zing embossing powder. This one's called Brown Sugar. It's kind of a crafty colour. I'll just hit that with my heat tool. And I'll just stamp it out again. And then I've got some Inkadinkado stamp masking paper. And I'll cover up this image here, just down the bottom as well. And I'll stamp one more time. I'll just pop my 3 masks on again here. So I'll have to be a little bit careful of these masks because they're on the watercolour paper and they've got embossing underneath. They're not sticking particularly well, but I'll keep an eye on that and see how we go. So I'm going to start off with some peacock feathers. Just being gentle around the edges of those masks there. And I'll be working quite a bit on this panel because it is going to have a lot of colour in it. So I'm working fairly softly here because you can always add more colour, but once you've added it, you can't take it away. Added lots of colour now, and I want to add a bit of texture, and I'll do that by dripping some water. So I'll spray some in my hand, and if you just let that sort of flick onto your background of the distress inks, give it a few seconds. Gives a really cool effect. Paper, and I'll just hit this with the heat tool. So I'm going to be doing a little bit more distress ink watercolouring, and I've got this is old paper and also some frayed burlap just to use for my shadow, and I'll put a bit of that onto my craft sheet. And I've got my aquash brush and just a water well that I'm dipping that into as I'm working along. I'll just test my colours here on just a piece of scrap cardstock, and I'll start colouring. I'll do that with adding some water to the paper first, and then adding a wash of colour, and then I'll use the water to grab the shadows and add those in. So I'm prepping my black cardstock with the powder tool because I'm going to be embossing in white. I've got a sentiment from the mini sentiment set and some Versamark ink. So just use my tape runner to attach this panel to the front of a top folding card. I'll grab my little bird and centre some thin mounting foam here. This is only 1mm. I've got a couple of Studio Calico stars and I'll adhere them on with some matte medium. And we're done. So I've had heaps of fun today using my Distress Inks and Purple Onion Design stamps. Kind of different to what I'd normally do, so I hope you've enjoyed it. And I'll be back again real soon. So until then, happy paper crafting. Bye.